HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents Ask the Right Questions, Hire the Best People, 4th edition, by Ron Fry, read by Patrick Lawlor. Introduction. This is the 4th edition of Ask the Right Questions, Hire the Best People, the corollary to 101 Great Answers to the Toughest Interview Questions, which is now in its 7th edition. I wrote the first edition of the latter nearly 30 years ago. It continues to sell thousands of copies year after year. Why has it done so well for so long? It's simple, straightforward, practical, and written in a welcoming and humorous style. And it has clearly helped millions of candidates prepare for you. But this book is for you. You may think that changing circumstances significantly affect your approach to interviewing. Unemployment goes up and down, the economy grows and contracts, companies and whole industries bloom or wither. Whatever the overall economic environment or the particular state of your own company's fortunes, the rudiments of good interviewing and the tools you need to effectively and efficiently separate superior from unsatisfactory candidates have changed surprisingly little. No matter how many questions I have supplied, and there are hundreds, you are really just posing variations of the same 6 questions. 1. Can the candidate do the job? Does he have the specific qualifications you are seeking, the right degree, pertinent experience, appropriate skills and competencies? 2. Will he or she do the job better than the other people you are interviewing or considering? Can she prove that by supplying great answers to your questions and asking equally detailed questions of her own? 3. Will the candidate actually accept the job if offered? How much does he want this specific job? Or is he just desperate to take any job, even this one? 4. Will the candidate, no matter how sterling his or her credentials, fit in with the rest of the group? The smaller the company or department, the more important this chemistry question may be to you. In a 1- or 2-person office, it may be a primary concern. You want to avoid becoming so dazzled by a candidate's qualifications that you fail to assess how she will fit in with your company culture. 5. Will the candidate make me look like a genius or a fool? I assume you have superiors who will question your judgment if too many of your new hires fail to make the grade. Your failures as an interviewer may wind up slashing your bonus, killing a promotion, and even jeopardizing your own job. 6. What is the candidate going to cost me in money, time, and effort? How long before he actually starts contributing to the bottom line? And what will it cost you to get him there? Of course, if you could just ask every candidate these 6 questions and easily identify the winners, you wouldn't need this book. But if you have spent any time at all interviewing, you know it doesn't work that way. So you do need me. I believe this new edition will help you as much as its counterpart has helped your potential employees. And it contains more than enough questions for you to consider. The competition for Ask the Right Questions includes books touting 96, 201, 501, and 701 questions to ask. One book has 60 straight pages of nothing but questions. What good are such lists if you aren't told what answers you're trying to elicit? Whatever your experience, company size, interviewing style, or the number or type of candidates you are seeking, I firmly believe you will learn how to confidently and successfully conduct any interview with the help of this book. An organized layout to get you organized. Chapters 1, 2, and 3, and the first part of Chapter 4, explain what you need to do and think about before you talk to any candidates. From developing cogent and effective job descriptions to types of interviews, from how to handle a candidate who shows up an hour late to suffering through a silent Cal or verbose Victor. After you study these first chapters, you will be prepared. In the second part of Chapter 4 and Chapters 5 through 14, we'll get into the meat of the book, the questions you should ask, and the answers you should expect to hear. I've formatted the book in a way that makes it most practical and easy to use. Each question is followed by one or more subheadings. For example, what do you want to hear? What information should the question elicit? Thumbs up, what's a good answer? Thumbs down, what's a poor answer? There may be follow-up questions, or those you can substitute, variations, after each as well. Thumbs down probably means thank you and goodbye. Many listeners have told me the thumbs down remarks are the most helpful part of the book because they clearly indicate when you should just consider thanking the candidate and moving on. These are answers that would make most interviewers cringe. After almost every question in the book, I could have included the same list of general cautions, those factors that should give you pause after any question or in any interview. So as not to unnecessarily clutter up the book, let me just state these all-encompassing negatives right here. You meant 8 o'clock in the morning? Many interviewers will simply cancel and not reschedule an interview if the candidate is late. It doesn't matter that traffic backed up, his cat threw up a hairball, or he just got lost in your building. Being on time is not racing into the reception area with moments to spare. A prepared candidate should be at least 15 minutes early. Somehow I knew it was you. I react negatively to candidates wearing too much perfume or cologne, more makeup than a runway model, an armload of bangles and bells, or sporting a 5 o'clock shadow at 9 a.m. You may be more or less forgiving. First impressions are important, and your initial gut reaction to a candidate is a valid one. So if you immediately sense an interview would be a waste of your valuable time, you are free to make an excuse and cancel it then and there. Do you actually dress like that every day? No matter how loose and unstructured your corporate culture, I would question the seriousness of a candidate sporting any attire you consider unprofessional or inappropriate. Do you mind if I call my mother for advice? There should be a new reality series featuring the bizarre behavior of some interviewees as they chew, burp, scratch, swear, cry, laugh, and scream their way into our hearts. Interviewees have shown up drunk or stoned, brought their mothers with them, fallen asleep, and even gone to the bathroom and never returned. Keeping a cell phone on during the interview is inappropriate. Actually receiving or making a call is bizarre. If you are confronted by a candidate demonstrating these behaviors, you will not be blamed if you wonder, if this is an example of his best behavior, what, gasp, do I have to look forward to? Lies, lies, and damned lies. Checking references is vital. While some candidates may fudge their credentials here and there, the number of candidates who brazenly lie about where and when they worked, what they did, and or where and when, or even if they attended college, has skyrocketed. One resume writing service estimated that nearly half of the resumes they vetted contained serious inaccuracies. No matter how lowly the job, there are significant expenses involved with hiring someone to perform it, so you must take the time to check out references. And the higher up the food chain the job, the more intensive your scrutiny must be. Lacking a particular skill or experience may not automatically exclude someone from getting the job. Lying about it should. Just be aware that the litigious nature of our society has made reference checking a challenge. Many companies have instructed managers to merely confirm a former employee's salary, date of hire, and date of separation, without revealing any negative aspects of his or her time there, or even worse, if and why he or she was fired. If someone is fabricating a lot of his or her experience, the questions in this book will help you separate the occasional truths from the plethora of lies. Thank you for sharing. Now please stop. Although honesty may be the best and only policy, you may be taken aback if a candidate is a little too confiding. Anything she does in the privacy of her own home is not something you need to hear about. Some candidates will make your job decidedly easy because of their tendency to blurt out the truth. When I asked one woman what interested her about a job opening, she responded, "Heck, I just need a job with benefits. I owe way too much on my credit cards." No Debbie Downers. A candidate should attempt to make every minute of his interview a positive experience. In my mind, someone who complains about his last job, boss, duties, or even the elevator ride upstairs is not someone I want to hire. Look over here, please. To many interviewers, a candidate's inability to look them in the eye indicates she has something to hide. So does being overly fidgety or nervous. You should expect a promising candidate to greet you with a firm handshake, sit straight up, and, of course, look you in the eye. There is always an exception to the rule. I hired an experienced acquisitions editor to head a department despite his near-constant hand-rubbing during our interview. Sometimes nervous behavior is just nerves. Likewise, you should be seeking people who are enthusiastic about what they do. So a candidate who sighs, looks out the window, or checks her watch during an interview may not fit the bill. Study the candidate's body language. Although many people don't mean what they say or say what they mean, their nonverbal actions reveal exactly what they're feeling. According to studies, more than half of what we are trying to communicate is being received nonverbally. He might be a trifle too confident. A candidate once said to me, barely 5 minutes into our interview, "I've got 3 other offers right now. What can you do for me?" I helpfully showed him the door. Yes, you are seeking confident, enthusiastic, and cheerful, and brave and clean and reverent candidates. But be wary of those who are too over the top. Why do you want to know? If you ask a simple question and a candidate starts to sweat, hems and haws, then tries to change the subject, you are free to wonder what she is hiding. Because if she isn't hiding anything, why is she acting so defensively? What does this company do? A key part of the interview process is preparation. Researching the company, industry, and position, preparing pertinent questions, and nimbly sprinkling that knowledge into the conversation. So you should seriously question the commitment of a candidate who demonstrates a lack of such preparation. I have had candidates ask me what exactly my company did. "Sure, Greg, you can have another lobster." An interview over lunch is an excellent way to get a candidate to reveal aspects of his personality or behavior you want to know about, even if it's just whether mom taught him manners. An otherwise attractive candidate may seem decidedly less so after blithely ordering the most expensive item on the menu or inelegantly slurping spaghetti or soup. And then I worked for... Oops! Throughout this book, I have attempted to give you the ability to formulate questions to elicit what you really want to know. The best answers are those that are most responsive to your stated or unstated needs. Because these answers should be customized to match the candidate's qualifications with your company's needs, it's often difficult, if not impossible, to say that a particular answer is right or wrong. But some answers are clearly wrong. Any answer, no matter how articulate and specific, that fails to actually answer the question asked. Any answer that reveals that the candidate is unqualified for the job. Any answer that provides information that doesn't jibe with a candidate's resume and/or cover letter. Any answer that reveals an inability to take responsibility for failures, weaknesses, bad decisions, bad results, or that tries to take full credit for a project to which others clearly contributed. Although you may not consider any of these an automatic reason for immediate dismissal, an accumulation of two or more should give you pause. Some, like dishonesty, should make you do more than just pause. Setting up your interview plan. The questions in this book are loosely grouped by type. They are not in some suggested order. So read the entire book and then decide on a case-by-case basis which questions to ask and in what order as you approach each candidate. And don't forget Chapter 13, which covers the illegal and ill-advised questions you don't want to ask. Finally, a word about the usage of gender throughout this book. I've chosen to mix up the usage of he and she or him and her and avoided awkward he or she constructions when necessary. Rather than spend a lot more time telling you what you're going to learn, let's just get you started. Good luck. Ron Fry, November 2017. 1. Define the job. Some interviewers fool themselves into believing that they can improvise their way to a successful hire with little or no preparation. I don't think you can. The cost of hiring an employee today is higher than ever, and poor hires have a way of affecting the careers of the managers responsible for them. That means you. The hard truth is that hiring the right person for any job takes a lot of work, both before and during the interview. It is not just a function of asking the right questions during the interview, but also spending the time to prepare before the interview. Although such preparatory work is not that difficult to complete, my sense is that it's routinely ignored by too many employers, especially small company managers. Such interviewers wing it, and then wonder why the person they hired either didn't work out or quickly left to take advantage of another opportunity. What is this job anyway? You'll find it difficult to evaluate applicants, much less attract and retain good people, if you haven't established a clear and concise set of requirements for the job. Is your organization experiencing high turnover in a particular position? If so, it's entirely possible that the job is poorly defined, or the components of the job description are totally incongruous. Another possibility, of course, is that you have no written job description for employees to use as a starting point, in which case you should expect continued personnel headaches. One entrepreneur I know told me of a job she once tried to fill whose duties included the following: conducting regular meetings with key vendors, evaluating quotes and references from new vendors, making critical marketing strategy recommendations, managing the inventory in a 5,000-square-foot warehouse, composing initial drafts of flyer and catalog copy, analyzing cash flow predictions, filling in for telemarketing staff when absences arose. Do you see a problem here? 6 different hires in an equal number of months certainly did. None lasted longer than a few weeks. One failed to return after lunch, on his second day. The various elements of the job were so wildly out of balance and required such varied skills and training that no one could have reasonably believed they belonged to a single position. As a result, no matter how accomplished a new hire, he or she quickly felt overwhelmed, overworked, and underpaid. One of the initial keys to hiring the right person for the job is to make sure it is a job, not a series of disparate tasks that would tax anyone's spectrum of skills, no matter how broad. There are undoubtedly times when a dynamic company needs to ask employees to pinch hit in areas outside their daily routine. But there has to be a daily routine from which to deviate. Before you try to find the perfect person for your perfect job, take a long, hard look at exactly what that job will mean to the person who will spend the majority of his or her waking hours performing it. If your job offers no defining, consistent sense of purpose, you will find it difficult to attract an applicant who will perform it well over an extended period of time. Revolving door positions cost your company money. In most workplaces, asking the company Renaissance person to sweep up or punch endless reams of figures into a computer system is an expensive mistake that will inevitably leave someone, probably you, in permanent search mode. Remember, they are not you. Here's an important reminder for entrepreneurs and others who have personal stakes in their organizations. You may well be willing to wake up early, stay late, and do anything, repeat anything to meet your company's goals. You may have to scrub toilets and crunch numbers and pack shipments and make sales calls but you chose your bed. You have to sleep in it and pay for it. As a fellow entrepreneur, I applaud your dedication, zeal, and crazy belief that you will, of course, defy all odds and actually succeed. At the same time, you should be aware that many candidates will not share your enthusiasm to do anything, anywhere, anytime. If you want an accountant, create a job description that focuses on accounting work. If you want a salesperson, the job description should focus on sales work. If, however, you want someone who will pay any price as an accountant, bear any burden as a salesperson, and share your personal willingness to peel dried chewing gum from beneath tables at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night, you're going to have a problem. You're not looking for an employee, you're looking for a kindred spirit. You may have to wait a while before you find one, and when you do, you may have to give up a piece of your company to compensate him or her for the overweening dedication you expect. Identify irrelevant components of the job. Then be honest about what duties and responsibilities should remain in the job description and which should be reassigned to someone else. Share your conclusions with others in the organization and get their input. Don't stop tinkering until you've developed a workable job description that's both coherent and well organized around a central theme. Remember, the fact that you are or would be willing to perform any given task in the description will not be persuasive to an employee who ends up feeling pulled in a dozen different directions at once. Make it your goal to avoid hiring applicants who secretly plan to stay with you only until a better opportunity arises. Next, do a little brainstorming about the background, experience, and skills your ideal candidate should bring to the table. Use the following questions as a starting point. What kind of educational background is required? What level of computer experience is required? What specific software tools are required? What other technical skills are required? What business background should the applicant have? What communication skills are required to fulfill the tasks associated with this position? How important are problem-solving skills in this position? What kinds of day-to-day challenges will the successful employee need to routinely overcome? Pay particular attention to the specificity of each of the job duties listed. As you work to develop and refine the job description, remember the old punchline, "Forgive me for writing you such a long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one." Make sure your job descriptions are both comprehensible and concise. Yes, it may take time and, in larger organizations, a certain amount of political skill to finalize a cogent, powerful description that includes the essentials of the job. But it will be time well spent. If you don't work with the people in your organization to devise a job description that clearly sets out a range of related, interconnected responsibilities, you will almost inevitably end up hiring someone who abandons your organization the moment a better opportunity comes along. A hit-and-run hire will cost your company money, and it certainly won't reflect well on the person who interviewed the fast-disappearing candidate. Again, that would be you. Ideally, your job description should outline duties that are consistent with the life and career goals of a particular applicant, the right applicant. Remember, people work for a number of reasons, not just money. Job satisfaction is a big part of the equation. Personal rewards and fulfillment must be taken into account, and the requirements of the job must be perceived as congruent, tangible, and realistic by job seekers and employees alike. Ask yourself, will the person want to fulfill the requirements of the position you've designed? Why? Regardless of the level or nature of the position, a well-focused job description proves to the applicant that someone has taken the time to actually think about what needs to be done and who is needed to do it. Give applicants a sense of your corporate culture. Is your organization a creative new startup, an industry-leading behemoth, a nonprofit organization with a sense of mission that all its employees share? Paint a brief portrait of your company and let your potential hires know what kind of culture they'll be joining. This really can make a difference in the quality of applicants you attract and the success of those you hire. Why was someone with the required educational background and all the pertinent skills fired before he even got his ID tag? The answer usually involves some problem with how he fit in the organization. Similarly, you should make an effort to give her some sense of what the daily routine is likely to look and feel like. Is the environment fast-paced? Is quality control an obsession for people in this department? Are you looking for someone who brings a high level of creativity to the workplace? In addition to the traditional emphasis on educational, experience, and technical requirements, don't neglect to consider and include the particular key competencies necessary for success in that position. These may include anything from empathy and prudent risk-taking to communication, team building, and/or customer-focused skills. What to look for in the resumes you receive. If you have posted and advertised an attractive job opening, you may receive far more resumes than you ever expected. If the economy is relatively poor or the unemployment rate high, you may still receive a blizzard of resumes for even the least attractive openings. If you work for a large organization, you are probably using an applicant tracking system to scan resumes for key words and phrases to identify the few candidates you want to interview on the phone, via Skype, or in person. If you are still manually sifting through all the resumes that land on your doorstep or in your email, and you have my sympathy, there is a method to quickly and efficiently review them. First, review the job description you composed earlier and refresh your memory. Go through the list of requirements and competencies you established. Remind yourself which elements you consider absolutely essential. Then buzz those resumes. That's right, I said buzz them, not read them. One of the most enduring fictions of the world of employment is that prospective employers are under some moral compunction to actually read every stultifying word of the resumes they receive. A resume is a document prepared for your convenience. As far as you're concerned, it has one purpose only: to make it easier for you to remove people from consideration. So look for the key words that will prove a candidate has what you're seeking. Resumes that pass this initial test stay in. Resumes that fail are out. This first step will probably remove from consideration a large chunk of the resumes on your desk, typically between 50 and 80% of them. Of the resumes that
Sample complete. Ready to continue?